Hey, all, welcome back. Welcome to tonight's segment. Hope you're all having a great day. Here we are. Segment number 2 for the week. How is it possible? But we're doing it. We found some time this week, so I had the time to do something for you guys, and that is what we are doing. We're going to have fun today, though. Now, we are about 2 weeks away from the election. And I know most of you here that are my friends fall on pretty much the same political spectrum that I do. Now, there are a lot of you out there that have a severe case of TDS and just refuse to look at a policy or look at any facts about Donald Trump. Well, tonight, we're going to do something special. I learned today that I possibly could be a secret Kamala Harris voter. Really? How is that? Well, today, our good friends at the Washington Post put up an opinion article that holds a quiz stating that voters prefer Harris's policies over Trump's. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this quiz. Now, it can get lengthy. My goal is to try and get through it within 30 minutes, maybe sooner. So I don't want to keep you guys all day. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link down in the bio so you yourself can take this test. And I'm curious to see what your results are. So please, when you take this test, put your results down in the comments so I know where you fall. Are you a secret Kamala voter? Are you really just suffering from TDS and just refuse to vote for Donald Trump because of, well, it's Donald Trump? But let's have some fun with this. Come on, let's go. Let's go to the website. Let's go over to the Washington Post and let's take this quiz. Let's get down here. Now, mind you, I have not read any of these questions. I heard about this earlier today, and we're going to see where this goes. Who knows? I might vote for Kamala after seeing this. So that's my challenge to you. However you score on this test, it's how you have to vote in 12 days. There we go. Don't matter if you hate Trump. Don't matter if you hate Kamala. I issue this challenge to all of you out there. However you score on this test, that is how you vote. Let's go. Increasing the federal minimum wage to $15 per hour from $7.25 per hour. I'm going to say no because I think it's for starter jobs. A family should not be living on that. Okay, here we go. Next question. Providing a $6,000 tax credit for families with children who are younger than 12 months. Yeah, okay, I can agree with that. Okay, increasing the corporate tax rate to 28% from 21%. No, I'm going to have to say I somewhat disagree. Banning mortgages for undocumented immigrants. Well, first of all, you're here illegally, so you're already a criminal. So, no. Eliminating taxes on Social Security income. Oh, hell yeah. Establishing a law that strengthens workers' ability to bargain collectively. I'm going to have to say I'm not sure because I'd like the idea of unions, but there are too many unions out there that are a little bit too fishy in the way that they treat some of their bad employees that are protected by these unions that shouldn't have their jobs. Yeah, I got to say, I don't know. Providing a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers. I have to say I somewhat disagree for the simple fact I want to know, where is that $25,000 coming from? Is it coming from my taxes? Or is it federally subsidized? I'm just curious. So I can't agree. Reducing regulation on cryptocurrency. Well, y'all know what I used to do. Okay. Capping increases on food and grocery prices. I am going to say not really, just for the simple fact that I'm a capitalist and food prices go with the way of inflation. And that's the way the market works. That's free market. Expanding the startup expense for Expanding the startup expense deduction for small businesses to $50,000 from 5,000. I'm going to say yes. I am going to say yes. I'm all about someone starting a business. And if they can get some sort of a tax break on it, go for it. Requiring billionaires to pay at least 25% of their income in taxes. I am going to say oppose, because if I can get out of paying taxes, I'm going to get out of paying taxes. And it should go for billionaires too. Okay. Repealing the estate tax on the transfer of assets from a person who has died to their heirs. I am 100% for that, because what's my family's is my family's. Government, stay out of it. Creating a commission to audit the federal government and suggest spending cuts. Hell yes. All right. Expanding business tax credits, including deductions for equipment and research. Well, hell yes. Why not? Okay. Charging a 10% tariff on most goods imported to the US from other countries. I have to say I'm not sure. Even though I'm in that kind of a business, um, it really comes down to fair trade acts and how that particular country is abusing American import laws. And there are a lot of countries out there that do it, and 10% could be fairly low considering what some of these countries are doing. Reducing the corporate tax rate to 15% from 21%. I'm going to say somewhat opposed, because I think I just kind of that 20% is pretty good. Expanding the tax credit for payment of health insurance premiums. Hmm. I'm going to say no, because that is another portion of the free market capitalist. I mean, you still have to make money in order to provide the services. Let's see what else. Okay, next question. Funding the reduction of medical debt and urging its removal from credit reports. I don't know, because there are a lot of there are a lot of medical conditions out there that are just ridiculously overpriced and overcharged. But yet there are simple things like just going to the urgent care and getting a prescription, things like that. So to me, it depends on what kind of situation you're in. So I'm going to have to say I'm not exactly sure. Funding research on the rise in chronic illnesses among children. Hell yes. No children should have to suffer. And of course, if there's something out there that's close to breakthrough, you should do it. Investigating pharmaceutical companies that block competition. Yes, because that's the whole point of a fair market. Expanding health savings accounts, which let people set aside tax free money for medical expenses. Yes, I would say so. Yeah. If you want to, you pretty much already do it anyway. You sometimes, in some cases, in many insurance companies, you have caps on like expenses or outgoing expenses. I think I'm understanding that correctly, but I would say yes. You should be able to put that money away tax free. Increasing the number of drugs eligible for Medicare price negotiations. Yes, because I'm sorry, a lot of these elderly that are out there, they can barely afford, their basic monthly prescription. Believe me, I know. I'm helping take care of my father. Okay. Capping out of pocket annual expenses for prescription grubs. I'm thinking about my lawn. Prescription drugs at $2,000. I have to say I'm not sure, because it depends on the drug, the expense it is to create the drug, all that stuff. So there's a lot of ifs there. So I can't say yes. Requiring federal agencies to buy only those essential medicines that are produced entirely in the US. Yes, because I know they're safe and I know they work. Okay, making it easier to involuntarily institutionalize people diagnosed with severe mental illness. I have to say I'm not sure, because what one person considers mental illness, another person may not. And it's a very slippery slope when you get to the stuff like that. I mean, When you get into like power of attorneys and family, all that stuff, and it's another one of those things that I'm personally dealing with at this moment. So I can't say yes. Eliminating the Office of Pandemic Preparedness and the Response Policy. I completely disagree. Just for the simple fact that we got to have a plan for it if something were to occur again, such as the COVID thing. Increasing federal funding for maternal health care. Let's see. Increasing federal funding for maternal. I'm going to say no, because I think this is a loaded question. Increasing federal funding for maternal health care. I think they're trying to get into the whole abortion and all of that. So I am going to say strongly opposed. That is what I'm reading into it. Okay, repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act. I'm going to somewhat agree to that because what it did to all of everyone's that I know that have private insurance, what it did to our rates when that went into effect, it jumped super high. And I would rather see them rework it and find something better than to completely get rid of it. Make it better for everybody, of course. Okay. Increasing the funding of home care services for seniors and people with disabilities. I wholeheartedly agree because it's another one of those things that I am personally dealing with right now. Not for myself. I mean, it is for myself, but it's not me. It's a parent. But let's go on to the next one. Requiring the U.S. government to pay the same price for pharmaceuticals as other developed countries do. Yes, because we are overpaying like crazy on a multitude of medications that are literally just pennies. Funding crisis clinics that provide substance abuse treatment. I'm going to say somewhat, yes, because I think a lot of that is just, I wouldn't fully fund it. I would not fully federally fund it. I would not. Some of that has to come from the individual because it's, even though it's an addiction, even though it's technically a sickness or a disease, but that's, to me, it was more of a choice than anything. It really is. I mean, but anyway, I think you guys know what I'm saying. Funding free childcare for low income families. No, it's called, you're talking about birth control. I'm just going to say it. Use a condom. Be on birth control. You can't afford to have a child. Don't have the child. I know there are certain instances where it's just going to happen. It's a mistake or whatever. I know it happens, but I am not paying to take care of your children. I'm not going to do it. Banning discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation. Come on, there it is. I fully agree. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care if you're, straight, gay, whatever, however you identify, whatever letter in the alphabet you fall under. I don't care. If you can do the job and you do it right, if you can do what you're supposed to do, and you can afford it, let the numbers let the numbers speak for itself. Let the character speak for itself. Don't care about any of that. Maintaining access to the abortion pill, mifeprostone through federal. No, no. First of all, I am pro life, but I understand that there are circumstances where sometimes you have to do things. But I'm not paying for your mistake. Banning managers of retirement accounts from making environmental and social and governance ESG investments. Who am I to say what they do with their money? So I'm just going to say I disagree. I really don't know anything about that. So to me, it's not my money. I can't tell them what to do with it. Eliminating the filibuster in Congress in order to pass laws restoring national right to abortion. I am going to say I strongly disagree because if you can't win by argument and get the votes, then you don't get the votes. Restoring abortion rights nationally as they were under Roe versus Wade. I strongly oppose. I believe it is up to the states. It is up to the community. If you have a community full of, you know, constituents that are not, that lean more, pro-choice or pro-life, I say leave it up to the states. That's my opinion. Always has been. Banning transgender minors from accessing gender affirming medical care. Strongly support, for the simple fact, the key word, minor. If you're 18, do what you want to do. But once you're under my roof, you're under, whoever, your child is under that roof. No, not until they turn 18. Not till they are adults. Establishing a national paid family and medical leave program. I'm going to say I somewhat agree with that because there are certain things that do happen where you just can't be at work. And that's why they have like the FMLA and all that stuff. So it's understandable. I'm going to say I agree with that. Increasing federal funding for programs that support victims of domestic violence. I'm not sure. Uh, I'm going to say I somewhat say yes, just for the simple fact that there are a lot of situations for individuals that have no place to go whatsoever. And unfortunately, on both sides, men and women, it's it's a hard thing to see and it's a hard thing to deal with. So I'm going to say, yeah, just being honest. Establishing that the only genders recognized by the government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. Hell yes. Simple. Kindergarten cop, just like the little kid said. Boys got a penis, girls got a vagina. Allowing states rather than the federal government decides abortion laws. I strongly support. Banning abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy with certain exceptions. I strongly support. Banning transgender athletes from playing on sports teams that do not match their sex assigned at birth. I strongly support. We saw that in the Olympics where that dude beat the crap out of that girl and she was trans. Withdrawing federal approval for the abortion pill withdrawing. Hell yeah. Because I'm not paying for your mistake. Banning government insurance from covering the cost of gender affirming care. Yeah, of course. Government shouldn't be paying for it. That means it's coming out of my pocket. No. Expanding the access and affordability of birth control. Nope. I do not think so. Expanding digital access in Africa through public private partnerships. I am going to say I somewhat disagree for the simple fact that, you know, it's technology. It's the 21st, is it 21st century? Yeah, 21st century. And there are still a lot of places around the world that you don't have internet access. It's not the fact that they don't have it or have the ability to do it. It's just that it's a way to communicate with other people. It's communication. Everyone should have access to it. Reducing federal spending on foreign aid. Hell yes. I mean, we're seeing it right now. We have people down south suffering from the hurricanes, but yet we're sending billions and millions overseas to fight wars. Okay, continuing military and economic support for Ukraine. Nope, as I just said. Nope. Funding efforts to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza in support of reconstruction. No, because this war has been going on for over 1,000 years. Increasing the U.S. military budget. I am going to say not quite sure because I know it's quite a bit. And considering we are the most powerful fighting force on the face of the planet, how much more do we really need to increase it? I can understand materials going up in cost and stuff like that, research. But based on where we are and opposed to everybody else, I really can't say yes because, well, I'm not a strategist and I am not part of the Department of Defense. So I really don't know what's going on out there to say yes or no. Phasing out imports of essential goods from China over the next 4 years. Yes. For the simple fact that's one of the biggest reasons why we had such a hard time with COVID is because a lot of the manufacturing of antibiotics and medical devices were overseas rather than right here in the old good old USA. Upholding U.S. commitments to international agreements and alliances, including NATO. Depends. So I am going to say not sure, just for the simple fact that the amount of money that we put into NATO defensively, monetarily, and what is their real contribution, these other NATO countries, to the NATO defense pact? Are they really contributing as much as we are? Honestly, I'm kind of in agreement. They should be paying their fair share. Restricting exports to China of advanced technologies with military. Of course not. I want to give them any of our technology. Banning transgender people from serving in the military. I have to say yes, not because I'm anti-trans or trying to say that I'm anti-LGBTQ, I plus, whatever you want to call it. It's for medical reasons. When you're in the field of battle, you need to know who you are dealing with, who you are working on. Keeping it simple. For the simple fact, I learned this when I was very young. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I considered joining the military. Not saying that I'm trans, but I had a very invasive stomach surgery when I was in my early 20s. And they removed a whole lot of stuff in there. And when I lost all of my weight, yes, I used to be fatter than I am fatter now. But I contemplated on going to the military, and I talked to some people. And they denied me for the simple fact that I had this procedure done because when by chance, if I'm out in the field, something happens to me internally and I have a medic and they're looking in there and they don't know what to look at. They don't know what that is or what's going on in there. Then they can't treat me properly. So when you start getting into like specific wounds or something like that for someone who is transgender, okay, that could greatly affect the way that they are treated on the battlefield from the medic. So that's why I say no. Otherwise, if you want to fight for your country, fight for your country. But I'm looking at it from a medical point of view. I'm not a doctor, but that's just my opinion and based on past experience for myself. Imposing a 60% tariff on goods imported to the US from China. No. That's too flat of a tariff. Because there is a lot of things that we get conveniently from China. In fact, I'm probably talking on and looking at something that's from China right now that probably cost me less than $100 that would have normally cost me like twice that if there was that tariff. But I'm going to say I somewhat disagree because I think it comes down to the commodity and like if it gets into like, defense stuff and all that other crap. Setting a policy of not coming to the defense of NATO and ally that hasn't met NATO spending. That's another one. I have to say I'm not sure because, well, how egregious is that they haven't contributed to the NATO pact? How egregious is it that they haven't put any funding or any type of resource into it? So to me, it depends on you know what's being left out. Imposing tariffs on other countries' imports equal to the tariffs imposed by those countries on American exports. I am going to say I support that. Fair trade. Creating a missile defense shield known as the Iron Dome over the U.S. I am all about it. Continuing sanctions on Russia for its aggression against Ukraine. I am all about it. Upholding U.S. commitments to Taiwan's defense against China. I am all about it. Supporting a two-state approach resolving the conflict between Israel and Palestine. I am just going to tell you it. You know what? I am for it, but this has already been proposed back in the 30s, pre-World War II. And guess who denied it? The Palestinians. Just going to say, we can try and get a two-state, solution all you want, but someone's going to deny it. Okay. Finding detection technology to interpret fentanyl and other drugs at the border. Oh yeah, all about it. requiring asylum seekers to establish a reasonable possibility that their asylum application will be approved. Yes, you must give us a reasonable reason. Otherwise, back you go. Funding a wall that extends along the entire U.S. Mexico border. Sure do. Increasing legal immigration by expanding family sponsored and employment based visas. Yeah, I'm going to say yes. Yep. Ending the automatic granting of citizenship to children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants. Hell no. It's not being done because you anchor babies. It's a term. It's a terrible term, but that's essentially what it is. Using active duty troops to help with the arrests along the U.S. Mexico border. I am 100% all about it. Using the Alien Enemies Act to deport immigrant gang members, drug dealers, and cartel members. Hell yes. Penalizing cities that don't cooperate with the federal immigration enforcement. Hell yes. Providing a pathway to citizenship for undocumented migrants who came here as children and have not committed a crime. Guess what? He came in illegally. Back you go. Increasing the number of refugees admitted to the U.S. Not sure because it depends what the refugees are for and where they're from and why they are coming. Um, it can't be I'm a refugee. Oh, it's just because it's nicer here and I want Buffalo Wild Wings. Otherwise, back you go. Arresting and deporting thousands of illegal immigrants. See ya. Shutting down the border to new entrants. Shutting down the border to new entrants if an average of more than 5,000 migrants per day try to cross. Oh, hell, close it down. Banning apprehended immigrants from being released into the U.S. while they wait in court. I am all about it. Allowing undocumented spouses of American citizens to stay in the U.S. while their immigration application is being processed. Undocumented, you're a criminal. See ya. Banning travel to the U.S. from certain Muslim majority countries. I am going to say I disagree. Just because someone is a particular race or from a particular country that is Muslim doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Not at all. Granting conditional permanent resident status to Afghan refugees who fled to the U.S. during the U.S. military withdrawal of 2021. I don't know, because why did they flee? I mean, was it because we were there? I don't know. Okay. Ending teacher tenure in K through 12 public schools. I am going to support it because there's a lot of public school teachers out there that are more or less indoctrinating students rather than teaching. Increasing the number of school-based mental health counselors. I will say yes, because there are a lot of messed up kids out there because they come from pretty shitty homes. Funding free preschool for all 4-year-olds. Nope. Because I am not about the public school system. Allowing public school teachers to carry concealed weapons. I'm going to say I oppose just for this. It's because I know a lot of bad stuff happens, with the shooters and all that stuff, but you're going to have kids that get nervous about that stuff, especially if they know that the teacher's carrying. They're going to Kids are kids, and yeah, teachers shouldn't. Yeah, they shouldn't have to do that. That should be the security. That should be the responsibility of the school itself as security, not from the teachers. Increasing federal funding for historically black colleges and universities. I strongly support. And by the way, there was a former president who actually did that, who gave him funding for 10 years, I believe. Promoting prayer in public schools. I strongly oppose because it is public school and you cannot push an agenda regardless of religion, race, creed, whatever, separation of church and state. Opposing efforts to ban race related books and content in public schools. I do not, because, like I said, you should not be teaching an ideology in school. You're teaching them specific, actual history, English, writing, reading, writing, arithmetic. Way it should be. No ideology, no doctrine. Spending federal funds to increase teacher pay. Nope. Be done by merit and by the school board itself and be done locally. Should not be done by the federal government. Canceling up to $10,000 in federal student loan debt for each borrower. Hell no. You took the loan out, you're responsible for it. Eliminating the U.S. Department of Education. Hell yes. Put all of that funding back into the parents' pockets. Let the parents decide how to educate their children, not the state. Creating a national credentialing body to certify teachers who embrace patriotic values. I strongly oppose, because a teacher should be teaching subjects, not ideology or doctrine. Expanding school choice options, including charter schools, vouchers, education, and savings. Hell yes. Funding free online classes with money taken from private university endowments through taxes, fines, and lawsuits. I'm going to say yes, but not private colleges. I would say more like community colleges. I would say free community colleges. Not anything like your major universities or anything like that. I would say it would have to be like a community college. Increasing Pell Grant funding for low-income students. I would say I'd support that. I would. I mean, especially if you're a low-income family who cannot afford college. It gives them the opportunity to get educated and they can go to college. Hopefully it gives them enough insight to maybe, do something better. Funding free community college for all Americans. Hey, how about that? Yes, I will say yes. Okay, where are we at here? Cutting federal funding for public schools that teach about critical race theory, gender, and identity. Hell yes. Hiring thousands of Americans to work on projects in clean energy, conservation, and climate resilience. I'm going to say yes, because I want to breathe clean air. You want to breathe clean air. I want clean water. And I'm sure you do too. Ending federal subsidies for electric vehicles. I am going to say strongly support. You bought the car. You bought the car. Speeding up approval of natural gas pipelines. I'm going to say I'm not sure, because it depends where those pipelines are going to run through. Gotta admit, is it going to, how is it going to affect the environment in those cases? Expanding tax credits for renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and power. Now that I will say, like for like your homesteads or your homes, wherever you're living, yes. Because if you have the ability to go energy independent on your own, why not? So I'm going to strongly support that. Reducing automobile fuel efficiency. No. Reducing restrictions on coal mining operations. I am going to say strongly agree, because if it wasn't for coal, a lot of us wouldn't have electricity. Allowing more drilling on federal land. I am going to say somewhat agree, because it depends what that federal land is, and I want to know how it will affect that environment. Here we go. Only a few more left. Increasing the royalties that oil and gas companies are charged to drill or mine on public lands. Who do the royalties go to? Is it going to the oil company? Is it going to the government? Is it going to the landowner? So I am going to have to say I'm not sure. Requiring automobiles to meet higher energy efficiency standards. I strongly agree. We have the technology today, I am very sure, to make a much more fuel efficient vehicle. We can see it. We see it in many vehicles that are getting 40 plus mile per gallon, rating. I'm sure they can do it with other types of engines. Imposing tougher penalties on companies causing environmental damage. Well, yeah. Increasing the federal government's preparedness for climate related disasters. Okay, so FEMA, basically increasing more money to FEMA. is it going to affect money that we send overseas? But for the most part, I would say yes. Withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord. Well, I'm not very familiar with the stipulations of the accord, but I will say this: I know that we are in the bottom half of the world's polluters. The largest polluters come from Southeast Asia and Asia. So you have to say I'm not sure. Increasing domestic production of nuclear power. Hell yes. People don't realize that nuclear power is a lot safer than they think. They got to remember this. It's nothing like what you see in the movies. Cutting greenhouse gas emissions to half of 2005 levels, but I have to strongly disagree. Think about it. You're going to tell me in 6 years, there's no way you are putting a demand on major corporations to switch like that, driving costs way up. You can't do it. You have to have a medium. Phasing in electric government vehicles, including school buses and the U.S. Postal Service, I will say yes. Because I'm not against electric vehicles. It's just that there needs to be a compromise between gas powered and EVs. And the technology isn't fully realized yet on the EVs. We're close, but we're not there yet. I say you gotta keep a medium. Sending troops in large US cities to enforce public order. Well, I think that depends. For the simple fact, if you have like the Kenosha riots, Minneapolis riots, sending in the National Guard to quell the violence and the destruction, I'm all about sending in the National Guard for that. But to just send military into the cities to no, no, that doesn't work like that. That's one of those questions I think we're trying to be like a little tricky. Giving police officers full protection from personal liability lawsuits. Um, I'm going to say no for the simple fact that it depends on the situation. Like, if the simple fact is like there's a case where I think there was a cop that shot a black lady that had a knife, and he was trying to like get her to stop, but she kept stabbing at him, stabbed him in the face a couple times, and he shot her, and unfortunately ended her life. And come later on, if that family goes to sue him saying that he was doing it out of racism, well, no, you have your body camera. Okay, you're going to try and sue me, civilly because I'm doing my job in a situation like that. I should not be able to be sued. So to me, it really comes down to this situation. Allowing the death penalty as a punishment uh, for drug dealing convictions. No, no, no. Banning homeless encampments and arresting people who refuse to leave. Yes. I do that for the simple fact on that one that unfortunately a lot of these homeless camps are filled with mentally disabled individuals who just refuse to seek help. And sometimes the only way to help them is to give them, it's harsh. It's a harsh point of view, but it's the only way to possibly give them help is to incarcerate them. It's weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But on to the next one. Requiring criminal and mental background checks for all gun owners or gun purchases. I got news for you. They already do it. Pardoning participants in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Yes, because they're all misdemeanors. A lot of these people have been held for over a year. You're going to tell me that you littered, and you're going to jail for a year? Come on now. What happened to the right for a speedy trial? Reclassifying marijuana to a less restrictive category of drug. Sure am. I don't care. You got it. You smoke it. Do what you want with it. I don't care because I don't do it. Okay. Funding job training and addiction recovery services for former prisoners. I'm not sure. I really don't know. It's like yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, are you completely, totally, are you sleeping in a gutter, strung out, and in need of that kind of help? Then I can understand it. But if you're a functioning, like addict, no. Expanding the use of stop and frisk practices by police department. That's essentially saying that all police are racist. So basically, you're stopping and frisking because someone looks out of place or wearing certain things or looks a certain way, has a different particular skin tone. I'm not going to say expand it because what you don't need to expand it. You don't. Repealing laws that shield gun manufacturers from being sued for violence involving guns. Uh, I'm going to go against it because guess what? A firearm is a tool. It is the individual who owns that tool who decides to do with what they're going to do. It is not the manufacturer of the firearm's fault. It's not. Same thing. You could have the same result if, in fact, out using the knife and the cop situation that I just explained. You can do the same thing for knives. You can do the same thing for any tool. But it's just the fact that guns can be used in war along with, other implements that this is being brought up. Okay. Allowing guns to be temporarily seized from people whom judges deem dangerous. My thing is who are these judges? Are these individuals convicted of any crime? Are they under arrest? Are they under a 24 or the 72-hour mental, you know, you know, what is it? Mental evaluation? I don't know. I'm not just going to say yes, so I'm saying I'm not sure. Preventing some kind of militarized equipment from being sold to local police agencies. No. If they can afford to use it and it has a use locally, go ahead and use it. Especially if it's going to help maintain order and it's going to maintain peace in the neighborhood. Allowing people with concealed carry permit in one state to have it recognized in other states. I am all about 2A. Banning assault weapons and high capacity magazines. First of all, you have to, what's an assault weapon? What's an assault weapon? I can use this remote control as a weapon and I assaulted you. Now it makes it an assault weapon. So that is clearly misdefined and clearly leading. So I am going to say no. Creating a national database to track police misconduct. I'm going to say yes. And here we are, the end. My policy positions are more closely aligned with Donald Trump. How about that? I've always considered myself like right at center right. And sure enough, this is how we scored. Now, these are my results. Now, I am challenging you. Use the link, in the bio. Go take this test. I have no idea whose policies were whose. So let's look at those results. And I'm telling you, check it out. Check it out. Vote according to this. I'm challenging you to vote according to your test. Let's take a look at these results and see whose policies were what. Okay. Okay. The green check marks are Harris proposals. Okay. Providing the 6,000 tax credit. Okay. What else? Wow. Okay. See, there are a lot of proposals here on this list that are Harris's that I would say a handful of her proposals that I can say that I can actually get down with. So yeah, so that's my challenge to you guys. Go to the link, take the test, and vote according to how you take the quiz. I dare you. I challenge you to do it. So yeah, so those are my results. Let's see yours. Leave them down in the comments. I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to get going because I'm getting done just in time to go watch football. And let's have some fun with this whole thing. And don't take it seriously, you guys. But remember, just get out there, register, go vote, and see you guys next time. Good night. Love yous.